Hello. Welcome back to 100 years of Nazdar history. At the start of the decade in 2011, Nazdar collaborated with Phozion Technology and Cayman, USA to introduce the first UV LED curing inks for screen printing at Empire Screen Printing. This is the beginning of the development of a series of UV LED inks for screen, inkjet, and narrow web applications, and Nazdar is the leader. In that same year, Nazdar expands in the Asia Pacific market by opening customer service and sales offices and names Patrick Wong as the Asia Pacific Director of Sales. In 2012, Nazdar acquires Easterday Fluid Technologies. This brings a selection of continuous inkjet products to Nazdar for the coating and marking of food and beverage containers. A year later, in 2013, Nazdar appoints Richard Bowles to President of Nazdar Ink Technologies and Peter Walsh, President of Nazdar Source One. 3 years later, the sales team was divided into two groups, a graphic and a textile business unit, in order to focus on the increased specialization required for these markets. In the first half of this decade, Nazdar introduces several new products. For the screen market, the 4200 series UV screen ink for point-of-purchase applications and the 2300 UV LED container screen ink that was designed for PET containers but also works well on glass, making it excellent for cosmetic container market. A year later, Nazdar announces that it will distribute VFP inks from France for the credit card printing in the United States. For the first time, Nazdar advertisements list inkjet inks above screen inks. The TX650 series ink for dye sublimation printing are introduced in 2011, and then the 517 and 518 series inks for grand format inkjet printers in 2013. In 2015, Nazdar introduces the 702 and 703 inks for Osei, Arizona, and Fujifilm Acuity printers, with a promise to save printers up to 35% in ink costs. These are some of the first plug-and-play UV inkjet inks which now dominate the inkjet product lineup for end users. In 2011, Nazdar's technical service team introduces the email address inkanswers@nazdar.com. This address goes to 22 ink and printing experts with a promise of a quick response. Still popular today, this address generates an average of 800 incoming and outgoing emails combined every month. In that same year, Nazdar releases a new website and an innovative special effects color card for screen printers, which is still used today. Outside of Nazdar, there are big changes in the graphics world in 2010. Apple introduces the iPad, which was developed before the iPhone, but was delayed in order to get the phone to market first back in 2007. In 2011, X-Rite introduces the i1 spectrophotometer and i1 profiling software at an affordable price. This starts the widespread practice of generating color profiles. The inkjet printing process really takes off in the start of this decade. Inkjet offers the same versatility screen printing did some 70 years earlier, but with the unique characteristic of being a non-contact printing process. Direct-to-shape, or inkjet printing on three-dimensional objects, begins to develop. In 2012, the first 3D bioprinting, or additive manufacturing, is used to print the first synthetic trachea and is also being used to print human tissue, bone, and eventually organs later in the decade. In 2014, a 3D printer is placed on the International Space Station to print replacement parts in space. And on Earth, and in our very own industry, Massivit introduces a 1.8 meter, 6-foot 3D printer at the SGIA show. Screen printing is still developing new technologies. By the middle part of the decade, the most common textile screen printing ink was plastisol, and that was being changed due to government restrictions in RSLs, or restricted substance lists. The goal was to remove PVC from these inks. This also resulted in some new development in textile inks that were silicone-based, and more importantly, a resurgence of water-based textile inks that print more like the plastisol inks that printers were used to using. Water-based textile inks play a critical part in the development of inkjet printing on textiles, which began first in roll fabrics and later in finished garment printing. In the second half of the decade, Nazdar introduces 5 UV and 2 solvent-based inkjet series inks. These were the 7400, the 730, the 735, 270, 708, the 184, and the 204 inks. By the end of 2017, Nazdar President Mike Fox retires, and Richard Bowles is named President of Nazdar on January 1, 2018. Richard reset the primary focus of Nazdar Ink Technologies to being a worldwide supplier of screen, inkjet, and flexo inks back in 2008 as Vice President and General Manager of Nazdar Ink Technologies. In 2018, Nazdar reorganizes into one company where the Source One and the Nazdar Ink Technology groups in customer service, technical service, and marketing were each combined respectively. As we come to the end of the decade, there is an overwhelming focus on the development of inkjet inks, printers, and software to drive those printers. As we close in on 100 years of growth and development of the screen printing process, we look toward the inkjet process to take us into the next 100 years. The signs of change were very evident at the end of the decade. Some of these changes go beyond just the technology of inkjet printing. In 2017, the Specialty Graphics Imaging Association, or SGIA, introduced the Digital Color Professional Certification Program that Nazdar's Travis Barcelona built with Ray Weiss, where the focus is to teach CMYK color and inkjet technology together. This continues the Nazdar tradition of training the industry. Single-pass inkjet machines first appeared on textile roll-to-roll printers back in 2012 and were now a common part of the graphic equipment market where high-speed, high-volume printing is required. These machines allow a full-color graphic to be imaged after passing under an array of printheads one time. In 2017, the SGIA launched the Women in Print Alliance to attract, retain, and advance women in the industry. This, along with the changing demographics in graphics and printing education programs, demonstrates that women now comprise a large part of the positions in the printing industry. In 2018, the U.S. Government Printing Office scraps the equipment and foundry type from what was once the largest letterpress operation in the world. This is meaningful because letterpress was the dominant printing process for 400 years, going back to Gutenberg in the 15th century until offset lithography took over in the middle of the 19th century, and has dominated until now when it is being displaced by the inkjet process. What an exciting time to be involved in printing, and Nazdar is well positioned. In 2017, SGIA and NAPCO Media enter into a partnership and agree to consolidate to Printing United. The last SGIA Expo took place in Las Vegas in 2018. And in 2019, a new show is introduced that creates the largest printing exhibition in North America, signifying the convergence of printing processes and technologies. This show will be even larger with the merger of Printing Industries of America, PIA, and Idea Alliance into Printing United Alliance. Then in March of 2020, the worldwide COVID-19 pandemic changes everything. At Nazdar, anyone that can do their work from home works from home. Those that need to work in a facility remain working as Nazdar qualifies as an essential business due to the products that we manufacture that support other essential businesses. Nazdar management restructures the company and the priorities. The next 2 years, there is a struggle to acquire raw materials, ship finished goods, maintain an efficient manufacturing workforce, and getting everyone to work as a team. But through good leadership, these hurdles have been overcome well enough to grow as a profitable business. Many of the industry's largest companies have merged, been purchased, or have closed. Nazdar continues to be a privately owned company where the ownership led by Jeff Thrall has continued to assemble excellent management teams where hard work is rewarded. As the COVID restrictions subsided in late 2021, things shifted in 2022 to a new type of working environment. Many people now work from home permanently, but those that need to and want to are back working together at Nazdar facilities. In May of 2022, all Nazdar employees are invited to celebrate a 100-year anniversary throughout the company. In 2022, Jeff Thrall transitions to executive chairman of TEI. Dan Potts is named president and CEO of TEI, and Richard Bowles becomes the CEO of Nazdar. Following the company-wide 100-year anniversary celebrations, the marketing group introduces a new Nazdar logo that brings Nazdar into a new century of innovation and industry leadership. There are 3 versions of the logo. The red Z version is the updated Nazdar corporate logo. There is a green Z version used by the manufacturing division and a blue Z version that is used by the distribution division. In all versions, the Z is divided into a lighter part or arrow that soars ahead, and the darker part of that arrow anchors us with our strong past that we identify with. This ends a great story that I've been honored to present, the 100-year history of the Nazdar company, which has led an industry with strong leaders, innovative products, and an overall passion in maintaining lifelong relationships with its employees and its customers. Nazdrovia.